Hey everybody, I'm Doug and this is OSRPG. Welcome to our character introduction video where we'll be meeting Charlie Allsun. These intro videos are small vignettes about each one of the characters in our story. You can watch the other intros at our YouTube channel. After that, you can check us out live on Twitch. With all that out of the way, please sit back and enjoy the story. I am Doug. I'll be storytelling this evening, and this is
Xylus, and I will be playing Charlie Allsun, freshly embraced Ventru.
the sun falls into the ocean. Light becomes dark, and shadows are cast over a landscape of buildings and hills, shrouded in a forest on the edge of the sea, staring out over a landscape of city that's existed for more than 100 years. Charlie sits high aloft in his penthouse in downtown of this dark city. He sits looking out over the dark buildings, brooding over, sprawling out from him as a tangled web of a world that he's beginning to see. Charlie feels deep hunger, controlled for right now, but ever threatening to take over his senses, to turn him into something that he has not yet experienced, except for the first moments of his becoming a vampire. Something dark and terrible. His penthouse is wide, spacious. Furniture is new, very modern. Tonight is a special night. Tonight is a night that you are to be introduced to somebody. You've been waiting in anticipation. In a couple moments, a person will come for you. Charlie sits in the darkness of his home, lit only by the track lighting in his kitchen, contemplating. What are you thinking about, Charlie?
Fuck. What have I gotten myself into? What's going to happen? What if this is just the beginning of something worse?
You hear a ring from the private elevator that serves as your doorway. And you know that somebody has arrived. What do you do?
Charlie rises to his feet and he goes to meet them at the door.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He is tensely gripping at the bottom edge of his jacket. Like kind of playing with the stitching at the very bottom of the jacket as he continues forward.
Okay. You arrive at the front of your door. It's a very I get the impression that Charlie is a kind of a simple aesthetics type of person. Is that correct? Like he likes very simple but nice things. Functional, a little bit more over form, but like still he likes everything to be neatly in its place. Is that correct?
Yeah, like touch of modern minimalist kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a black door. You don't remember where you bought it. You had it replaced from the previous one, which was nice, but a little bit too gaudy. Do you just go to open the door, or?
I look through the peephole.
Okay, you see on the other side through the peephole. One moment. The form of Zoe. You see a woman. She looks probably in her mid-30s. She's got blonde hair, cut in a very form over function. It's very simple, but nice. Obviously done in a salon or a high-end boutique. She's wearing a like pantsuit, and she's staring at her phone, scrolling through it somehow. She looks impatient. It's been a number of weeks since you've seen Zoe. And it's a little surprising to see her now. You weren't expecting her.
Charlie kind of has this moment of panic. Not quite like a full blown like, oh shit, gotta hide everything. It's more like well, this was unexpected. Shit, what now? Kind of panic.
Okay.
So he'll kind of stand at the door for maybe like 5 seconds, and then very, very quickly and abruptly unlock the door and open it, like as if just like instead of dipping his toe in the water, he is just jumping and diving in. He's like forcing himself to have that moment.
Okay, it's like, okay, yeah, we can do this. Okay. You open the door. On the other side, Zoe looks up from her phone and looks you straight. And he's like, without saying hi or any of the courtesy, she's straight to the point. He's like, why haven't you been answering my texts? I've been texting you for weeks. I even called. What's up with you? I checked by the office and they say you're working remotely. So since when have you done that?
I can explain it. Would you like to come in?
Yeah.
And I'll stand aside and allow her through. And
she just pushes her way like right straight past you, right? I mean, she's not like angry or anything. Like she doesn't like violently knock you aside.
Right.
But yeah, she's definitely like, I'm just going in anyway. And she's like, so all right. I don't want any of your explanations that you're giving anybody else. I want what's going on. This isn't like you. Are you dating somebody new or like?
No.
Are you on drugs?
No.
I'm waiting. Look,
There are some things that went on in the merger, and they have affected my department heavily.
Okay, so you're just sitting on the couch and working off your laptop? I mean, why aren't you down there? I mean, why didn't you call me? I mean, I know people.
They've taken the majority of the handling of my department from me.
Well, that's bullshit.
I know.
You're the one who built that. Don't tell me you're sitting around moping about it. That's not like you either.
No, I'm doing what I can to make sure that things are done right, and I think I have a plan to take my department back.
Good. Is that so you've been like networking or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. And you didn't think to reach out to me? I mean, I know we don't talk a whole lot.
I didn't want to concern you too much. I know that we didn't exactly...
Look, I love you, babe, but like you need to understand that I know I'm working, you know, I'm not working for the enemy. If there's something going on, if some douchebag is, you know, wrecking things that you built, that we partially built that. I had a hand in it too.
The Sunrise Group, the way that they want to do things is just different from the way that I'm used to doing them. And I understand that there's certain things that they're going to change.
Yeah, that's understandable, but I mean, are you having such a hard time? I haven't heard about anything radical.
I've found some unsettling stuff, and I'm putting together a file right now to take to the board.
Well, good. I expect something to happen because I know that you can make it happen. And here's the deal. This isn't going to get you down. I know you've had your bumps, and sometimes that could get rough. And I know you take everything on, and sometimes, you know, I worry for you. You know what I mean? Because you kind of feel like you're not standing alone here. I can help you. Reach out to me. But I can't help you. And for God's sakes, go get a date. I understand that's a little weird still, but like, come on. I mean, don't you have anybody?
I'm still just trying to figure out this whole Sunrise Group situation.
Well, you can't have... I mean, I know that this is alien coming for me, but you have to have something else. Because it's just going to ride you into the bone. So, just tell me what you need. I'll see what I can do. Are you busy tonight? I mean, like we could talk about if you want to go, we can go out and get a coffee or something.
We could do that. I was wondering, actually.
You do
now
know
that you mention it.
You do know that very soon, Helen will be arriving for your meeting.
Yeah.
As soon as you say that, it occurs to you, it's like, oh fuck, you know, like.
So, this file that I'm putting together,
Mm-hmm.
I'm planning on giving it to Helen. She'll be here in a few moments.
Helen's coming here?
Yeah.
Okay. That's... I mean... You mean, like, she actually has a... She's not a robot? She doesn't go home and plug into a wall or something? I mean, she's just so ice cold to me.
I can't say that she doesn't go home and plug into a wall.
Okay, because I thought she was programmed.
Probably. Very well, but yeah, probably.
Okay, well, let me know if she actually eats or sleeps or does anything a normal human should, because, like, that lady, there's something about her.
Food, but I'm pretty sure she only does it for the carbons.
She's like ice cold, man. I would almost say don't work with her, but I mean, obviously you said nothing.
I don't know how you could say that. Helen's been one of the best mentors we've ever had.
She's just a little, you know, I mean, there's a difference between writing people and getting the job done, and then there's her. I can't quite put my mind on it. You know, it's a gut thing. So let's go get that coffee.
Alrighty. After Helen gets here. She'll be here any minute.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Do you want to hang around? You're more than welcome to stay. Make yourself comfortable.
Yeah, sure. You know what? I think you have some of the wedding like movies. You know, you remember Tom, you know, he came with he was like all in a film or something, and he, you know, was like going crazy filming everything, and we got a discount. Right. Well, like he gave out a bunch of different copies of the stuff, but I haven't ended up with anything. What he gave me was like some really weird, like experimental erotica films that he had been making. It was really kind of disturbing. I don't think you should ever hire the guy again. I mean, I know he's cheap, but so I just want to. Do you mind if I go looking for your? I mean, do you have a copy of the wedding?
All that stuff's in the box in the closet where you left it.
Okay. I'll just go look for that, and you know, you can. I should be done. I mean, you know, you never put anything back really where it belongs anyway, right? So it's like, okay. And she kind of just turns around and walks off. You know, like, right? And you know that she, you know, like, you know, she has that like sort of like get over it, you know, tough love sort of feel. So she, you know, she's not being mean.
Yeah.
You know, even though she's kind of mean, like sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of moments go by, not too long actually, and then you hear another doorbell, the chime of the elevator arriving.
I'll go and look through the peephole again. Is it Helen?
Yes, you see a woman. She is probably like 5'8", you know, fairly short person.
Okay.
She has a, you know, finely cut, short cropped hair. That is white, showing that in her older years, although her years are far older than what she would portray. She has a very, you know, I would say very flat features. Not too. She looks distinguished. She has a way of presenting herself. She's wearing a white, sort of like long waistcoat thing, very fashionable, but not outrageous, you know. Pants or slacks, I should say, like in a sort of like a nice white blouse. She doesn't have any obvious jewelry. She has very simple earrings, and one silver brooch. That is actually probably the only standout thing on her. She carries herself again with like sort of a hardness to her.
As she kind of, as I open the door, I am going to whisper, Zoe is here.
Zoe. Oh, yes. We did have a meeting to attend.
This was an unexpected arrival.
Well,
I do have a file I need to share with you.
I see. Well, we could play pretend for one moment, but we do have to be going. His man is downstairs waiting to take us there. Leave your cell phone. I will, I'm supposed to be here on business?
Okay.
No, that was a question. I don't know what you have told Zoe. Am I here? I see. Okay. Well, Charles, and she walks past you. I brought those documents for you. I left them in your office. I wanted to go over some of the finer points before you reviewed them. And then she walks into the space. She's kind of looking around, you know what I mean? But not like intentionally scoping out the place, but like, you know what I mean? Like kind of like, where is the person that you said that was here? And you hear Zoe like, oh, hey, how you doing? You know? And she comes out and she's carrying a stack of DVDs. Like, you know, that they're in a professional like sort of packaging, like little cases, but they're obviously not like movies, you know, like they're like home movies, that sort of thing. Stuff that you haven't looked at in years. And she's like, oh, don't mind me, Helen. I'm surprised. I didn't know you were coming over. I'm just picking out a thing, and then me and Charlie were gonna go for coffee. So, I'll just be back here and.
Actually, about that, Zoe, I have to go back to the office with Helen.
Yes. Helen pipes up. It is quite pertinent. I apologize for the inconvenience if I interrupted any sort of plans. I was originally only going to go over the numbers, but there seems to be some sort of issue with the reports. The alignment on one of the testing machines is not yielding the proper results, and unfortunately the supplier cannot give us a new one. So we are kind of in a mess right now. Since Charlie has been working from home, I figured that he should go down and see it in person. And so he's like, oh. Okay. Well, you're not going to get out from blowing me off again. So, like, we're doing coffee. Okay? And
I'll get a hold of you after I get home.
Yeah. She kind of gives this, like, glance between you and Helen as though she's trying to, like, size up whether you guys are together, right? You know, like, and you wouldn't have caught it unless you knew Zoe very well.
I just kind of give her that look, like, really?
She gives you like, hey man, it ain't my business. Like, and she turns around and she comes back a couple moments later with I found the movie. I think I'm gonna go. I'll bring this back to you. I'm just gonna have it copied if it's the thing. Okay. Anyway, enjoy your work, and you call me, seriously. And takes off. Goes into the exits the apartment, and you hear her leaving through the elevator. The elevator door closes. The door is still slightly ajar to the little waiting room that you share with 2 other apartments.
Okay. I look over at Helen. I apologize. I did not anticipate her coming over.
It is a skill that you must learn, but not something that is altogether unbearable. Do not worry. You learn these things. Try to expect the unexpected and always have an alibi for your being there or situations. You have to learn to lie, I'm afraid.
Something I'm not entirely used to.
Yes.
Shall we do this thing?
Yes.
Oh, yes. File. And I hand her a envelope.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those yellow folder envelope files, and attached to it by rubber band and sticky tape is a USB flash drive.
She takes it. We will discuss the contents of this later. Right now, we must go. Your cell phone, leave it, please.
Take the cell phone out of the pocket and I place it on the kitchen counter.
Thank you. She walks, leading the way to the elevator, presses the button, and down you both go.
I lock up and yeah.
Do you take anything with you, or is it just like basically you were already prepared? You're just in your clothes and.
I'm already prepared. I have a pen. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Once you arrive at the ground floor, you exit the tall building into the streets of the city. You live, 1 second. Gotta pull up the description. You live in the northwest oh no, you live in Victoria Hills. Victoria Hills adjoins the downtown. So on the west half of the city, there is a peninsula. Right, the city's split in two by a river that opens up and divides the northeast side of the city to the north but southwest. The peninsula runs along the river. On the west side of the city, part of the city that you live is very hilly. It descends into a bowl sort of shape at the center of it, in which is the downtown is situated. But everything basically rolls downhill. The older buildings and those sorts of things, the old commerce district, the arts district, those sorts of things, those neighborhoods are all situated at the bottom. Most of the higher prestige houses exist at the top or on the far side of the peninsula. You live on the edge of Victoria Hills, closer to downtown than most people would, because you live in a penthouse sort of suite sort of thing, right? Your offices for your company, what was the name of your company? I'm spacing on names tonight.
Silver Summit, but they
Silver
merged
Summit.
with Sunrise Group.
Yeah, so Silver Summit's offices, division offices, are downtown, but the hospital is primarily where you have the lab and testing, and also your satellite office area. So the hospital St. Peregrine's exists on the east side of city, and you typically don't have to travel too far off of that, off of the main freeway, to get to it. So you don't really go into the eastern part of town too much, which is generally slums and the seedier side of the city. The city where you live in is a stark contrast to that. It is a very nice, clean, city, decorated by very tall buildings, buildings that range 10 to 20 stories on the average, with some skyscrapers, probably about 20 or 30 skyscrapers or so. And at its very center, obviously, like very big buildings. But the city has always been very comforting. It's been very nice, to live here, because there's lots of trees, more accustomed in the city on the side of town. The boulevards are decorated by, trees going down on the side of the sidewalk. You have kind of cramped city streets. There are 4 lanes. Traffic is always busy and that sort of thing. But largely it's very clean and nice, and the weather is always temperate, and it rains quite a bit, being part of the Pacific Northwest. You come out into such rain, and lately, as tonight, the city looks different. It has looked different since you became a vampire, since you were embraced. The architecture, where before was very nice, if kind of just flat and made of stone and old buildings, gave it a sort of ambiance of age and equity or affluence. Now looks hollow. It looks sort of like you're surrounded by walls. Everything is clean, in its place, orderly. But it doesn't seem to have quite the same sense of soul. It looks like everything has been chosen to be where it is, almost with an obsessive precision. Helen steps into a long limousine, and where a person dressed up in a nice suit is holding the door for you. And as you approach, he's, "Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I am his man. I will be escorting you to your appointment." It takes you a couple seconds. Something seems a little off about this guy, but then you realize that, okay, maybe this is another vampire. Maybe this is another kindred. He doesn't seem to be breathing. The rain doesn't seem to be causing him to shiver or causing his skin to appear flushed. He is holding himself almost with an unnatural stillness. Now that you're close to him, I mean, if you were in a crowd, you probably wouldn't be able to tell anything.
Okay.
If you please.
I'll conform with whatever Helen is doing.
Yeah. And he closes the door, and he goes and sits in the front, where there's a glass barricade and like a glass window separating the front from the back. The limousine is very spacious. It has enough to seat about 8 people.
Yeah,
very comfortably. There's an empty mini bar. That is on one side of the limousine. Helen reaches down and opens up there's a sliding, it doesn't look like a door. It's like a secret compartment. It's like she kind of presses on it and then slides it and reaches in and grabs a bottle out of it, and it looks chilled. It's been subjected to a very cold temperature, and inside of the contents you notice to be vitae or blood. And she takes a small sip.
What vintage do we have today?
I know you're particular. So I've recently been having screenings, which has made it harder to acquire. I believe he was a German man. Older. He died of natural causes. Before he was kind enough to donate his blood.
I'll reach over into the side where the glasses are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll hold a glass up.
And she pours a little bit in there. You notice that as soon as it's subjected to room temperature, it starts to coagulate or thicken. But it will last long enough, and you take a sip of the vintage. In it, for a brief second, you feel that hunger subside slightly. You feel a physical sensation, which you're not used to feeling as much anymore. You still feel, obviously, but you feel an emotional response off of it, this is this is
kind
good.
of lean back for a moment.
And you allow the vitae to sit within your mouth for a moment before fully consuming it. And you taste the wisdom. You taste the serenity. You taste this with a faint hint of pain that comes from one of senior years about ready to see their end. But you feel a acceptance and a giving. You're flooded with emotions of acceptance. You feel good. You feel like it doesn't matter what happens. It will happen. And you'll be okay with that, at least for a temporary time. Because it's not an incredible amount of vitae. You're only taking a small sip, yes? Or are you just drinking the entire thing?
I'll drink the whole glass, but I won't drink it so fast that Ellen's like, "Geez, were you raised in a bar?"
Yeah, right. It's quite good. I felt it was appropriate.
That's a good mood.
The humors, you begin to sense these things. Sometimes it helps to find strong emotions. I hate to speak of them in a... Well, they are vessels. And if you are able to acquire their vitae, when at the height of certain emotions you will feel that yourself. It's a way of remembering, I suppose. I have to profess, I do not know what the results of tonight will be.
I'm not sure either, though it does have me quite concerned.
I did reach out. I have acquired a number of debts, and debts in our society are very important. It is the way we exist without...
You said debt keeps you alive.
It does. And while I don't normally flagrantly... Well, I don't really view it, and I think His Majesty, the Prince, Lord of the city, would agree, perhaps. I think he might be on my side. He has always been... Well, he's a hard individual to understand, of course, but I think he might understand. He has given me...
Which of the clans is he again?
He is... His clan is a Malkavian. They are oracles and seers, sometimes madmen, or women. He never attempt to understand one. They have a perception that, well, no one else has. It is, some claim it is a curse. I don't believe in all this new age gossip. However, he is difficult to understand, but I believe he may side with us on this. He has given me permission before, and it wasn't in regards to a specific child. I was merely exercising the gift that he had once given. And that, combined with the debts that I have paid, should be enough, I think. I have confidence. Although I do admit I am uncertain.
Well, I'm going to be honest, as your pupil, I really hope for the best.
Hope is like a pocket watch. They look nice, and sometimes you may need them, but really they're just there for show. It only matters how it makes you feel. But always know that you can simply tell the time of the day by looking in the sky.
Always very blunt.
Hope can lead fools to their deaths, and our kind to our destruction. I prefer to be pragmatic. It is good, I have confidence, but that is not blindly given. I believe, I'm calculating this. We have a good rapport. I have spoken with the prince numerous times. As far as I know, I'm in good standing and favor with him and his court, as much as that exists these days. And, yes.
I do remember. I do admit I've wondered what this court of the Camarilla... It is Camarilla, right?
Yes.
Sorry, it's been a lot to ingest.
You may use the word tower if you are, or... You could use the word tower if you are feeling uncertain about where you were speaking. In fact, I would practice numerous variations of how to refer to it, because you never know who is watching. Even now, we could be being watched.
I admit I'm curious. I have certain imagined expectations of what it might look like, what it might be. Really, I'm just nervous, flustered.
Do not let them see you be nervous. You are my child, and more so, you are a son of Ventru. You are of our blood. We are kings and queens. We are those who keep society from falling apart. That is our legacy, and that is our responsibility. We are the only clan who takes responsibility. Never forget that. Those who see nervousness in you will not be kind. They will use that. If not to get at you, then to get at me or others, or simply to damage our reputation.
Still wrapping my head around these shadowy games.
Yes. You are used to dealing with things in much more straight and honest answers. And I try to keep them straight and honest, my affairs. As honest as possible, of course. But trust is something that exists in our society, absolutely. But trust is something that takes on an entirely new set of definitions. Trust isn't the same as when you were as before.
I'm gathering that.
I think you have a lot of opportunity ahead of you. And if we have confidence, but we are realistic, if we trust, but always remain cautious, I think we can conduct ourselves in a way that will benefit both of us, and you, most of all, can succeed. I would not have chosen you otherwise.
Not that you had much choice to choose me in the first place.
Well, I hate to sound callous about it, but I could have. I could have left you to be taken against your will, but I did not. I don't like wasting things. And I don't think that you are a tool to be used. I think you are an ally to be achieved. You have potential, and I hate seeing wasted potential. My rivals would have wasted it on merely trying to control something that would have went away in 100 years.
I wonder if they'll see it that way.
Of course not. We made enemies, and we have enemies. But first, we must overcome this first obstacle. As she says that, the car, the limousine, which has not traveled terribly far, it's had to stop a number of times because of the traffic and things, but it was a short ride from your the building in which your penthouse resides, to the Whitmore building downtown. The Whitmore building is one of the oldest buildings downtown.
Quickly, before we leave the limo, I'm going to ask, is everyone who is going to be there like us?
Yes. This is one of the few. We have not been gathering as much in recent years because of the threat of those who hunt us. Those humans who are afraid. But His Majesty has called a gathering. Everyone who is there will be one of us. You are not to do any sort of violence on these grounds at all, even if you are provoked. And you are not to use any of your abilities that have been granted to you because of the blood. I want to be very clear about this. This is a peace grounds. And that peace is enforced with violence and with no quarter should that rule be broken. You will be destroyed. Are we understood?
Absolutely.
And she exits the building, or exits the car. As I was saying, you guys exit the car in front of one of the oldest buildings in the city. It was built sometime around the beginning of the 20th, or probably, actually, it's probably 1890s. I actually like, now that I think about it. So shortly before the turn of the 20th century. It's been renovated a couple times, but like it's a historical building at this point. It doesn't go terribly tall. It's only about 10 stories tall, which compared to the other buildings in the area, it's not tall at all, right? But it has a presence about it that sort of like reduces the other buildings in stature because of its age and because of the bulkiness and the roughness that older buildings sometimes had. You see that the front of the building, there is like some sort of tour sign, like a tourist thing, and then you see people kind of entering and exiting from underground stairways leading up to the street. Very, very tightly packed stairs, big crowds of tourists and things like that. On the other side of the building where you walk around, because you guys pull up to like basically a drop-off lane, is a slow incline, as many of the buildings, they don't have like steep inclines, but down here they kind of have like they're all kind of built on a hill, right? There is the street accesses the second floor, which is a nice big entrance that enters into a very luxurious interior that's styled after an old Victorian sort of aesthetic on the interior. It looks like a very, very nice apartment complex. There's an art studio off to the left. She takes you through, and there's people kind of milling around a little bit, coming to and fro their apartments, which must be above you because they're exiting through elevators. She walks up to an old elevator that dominates the central hallway of the entrance, or the entrance where you are in, and it's made of old, gilded bronze, in very classic sort of old early 20th sort of style that elevators had. And the doorman who has joined you at this point, or the man who was outside the limousine, I should say, he walks up to a guy dressed in a very, short, like waist jacket, like sort of bellhop sort of outfit. And that person turns around and opens the elevator, steps inside. The conductor pulls out a key and inserts it into the top above the buttons that direct you to different floors. There's a little key and he puts it in there and turns it, and you feel yourself going down. When it opens into a very pristine, flat granite room. Not terribly tall. The ceiling's actually kind of short a little bit at the entranceway. It is square in shape. And when you enter, there's pillars that circle the center of the room, where there is a decline, like big steps that lead down to the center, where there's a centerpiece in a circle. So it's kind of like everything around the room has been kind of designed to focus this as a point. The ceiling and the floor are much taller in the center. Around the pillars, there are not many, but some. There's probably about there's about like 14 figures. You see that there's 3 doors, 2 off to your left and 1 bigger set of doors directly across from you. You don't know how far down you are. It was fairly far. But you've entered a place that feels empty but serene. It's like kind of you don't feel peaceful, but it's like being in a museum, right? That sort of, there's like
you don't want to hurt anything, you don't want to touch anything,
yeah,
you don't want to bother anyone.
There's like a stillness.
Yeah.
And in the center of the room, right, is a large, probably about a sarcophagus made of some sort of crystal, some sort of gem-like object. You don't know what. It's very bright when you're looking directly at it, although it doesn't illuminate. It doesn't have its own illumination. It's just kind of softly reflecting the light. So if you were directly looking at it, you kind of have a hard time at the distance. And your attention is immediately drawn to it. You can't make out any details of where you're standing. The escort, the person who is standing next to the elevator, the man, turns to you. Or turns to Helen and then to you. Miss Hardgrave, you are to accompany me. And then he turns to you. You will wait next to the monument.
I'll take my place wherever he's pointing to, and look to him to make sure that I'm in the correct place.
Yeah, Helen looks at you with that last, you got this look, she goes, just very provingly, reassuring in her own very firm dry way. And she follows the person around the walkway behind the pillars over to the large set of doors that were opposite of the room when you entered. As you descend the stone steps, you notice that you're the only one really in the circle. And you're close enough to the sarcophagus, which it is, to notice the details on it. You notice that it's it's engraved with sort of like you're guessing a theme from like Dante's Inferno, without doing any sort of rolls or anything like that. Like you see the demons who occupy each layer of hell carved into the sides, and then slowly as you rise to the top, there is a sort of a dance and play with the central figure, Dante, grasping and trying to claw in this swarthing mass of creatures that are trying to disseminate him. And in the words scrawled in a tablet at the foot, as you circle around, just kind of looking at this thing, you notice it is engraved, "Here lies the founder." What do you do?
So this is a crystalline structure, right? Is it clear, or is it?
Yes, you can actually see pretty. You can see through it when you're at the now that you're close enough to that the glare is not bothering you.
Is there a body within the sarcophagus?
No. It looks 100% clear.
I'm gonna keep looking at the etchings on the sarcophagus and kind of follow the story, and then read the tablet again. It says founder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the founder lies here.
Has Helen told me anything about where Kendrick come from, or anything about the founder?
No, you've never heard her mention it. She's mentioned to you what she has mentioned to you are the rules that the Camarilla is dominated by, or otherwise known as the traditions. That there are 6 of them. She has mentioned that those traditions are enforced by a prince, a kindred, or vampire. That serves as sort of the end-all be-all of authority within a region or an area, typically the size of the city. So the city is ruled by a prince. That prince has enforcers. You've been taught of the sheriff. You've been taught of the social enforcer known as the Harpy. You've been taught about a new station called the Precepts or Princeps, who is sort of like the spiritual leader of the city. You have been taught that each clan that is members of the Camarilla all have leaders, otherwise known as Primogen. And above the prince, there are other members, other stations, which have not been explained to you, but you've been told that there's other positions.
That
Right.
it's a massive overarching hierarchy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you've never heard of a term called the founder. You also notice while you're looking around the thing, it must be like a trick of the way it was manufactured, or you're not sure like exactly, but like it really kind of captures, I guess, your interest in how this thing, because it looks like it's basically two pieces, right? You have the sarcophagus itself, and then you have the lid. And other than that fine line that divides the lid from it, that keeps the lid enclosed over its interior contents, which are, you can't identify a compartment, so you assume that there's none. There doesn't seem to be any cracks or seams or like it's, and you're not quite sure what type of substance this is made out of. I mean, it's obviously not a diamond, because if it was a diamond, that would be like the largest diamond that had ever been discovered, right? So it's like, and it's not like, you're not a geologist, so it's, you can't really like, you just like, how is this like made? Like what rock did this come from? Like, that's really kind of weird to you. Because it's big. It's massive. It's about 8 feet long, about 5 feet wide, and about, I would say it stands, because it sits on a kind of a smaller raised dais. So it stands, from when you're standing next to it on the floor, it will stand about 5.5 feet tall. Like, you would have to stand on the very lip of the pedestal it's standing on in order to just like to see clearly over it.
Do I get the sense that I want to touch it?
Well, it's a big thing. I mean, it's a big, beautiful thing. You don't see a sign that says you can't touch it. So it's just, like, I would imagine that Charlie would probably, I mean, anybody probably would. I mean, right? So yeah, that's completely normal.
I'll reach over and kind of poke at it, like,
you touch it, and it's smooth. It's perfect. Like, there's no etchings or scratches or age marks or wearing or anything like that. It feels cleanly cut, and it's smooth. You feel a faint warmth from it.
I did it. Faint warmth?
Yeah, like it's like, something has been sitting in the sun for a while, or although you are finding it's harder to remember these days what that feels like. But like a warmth, like when the concrete is warm because it's sunny out, or when you get out of bed and you could feel where your body was. You hear a voice behind you as you're intently studying this thing now.
I immediately prop myself up and turn to look towards the direction the voices are coming from.
It's amazing. Monuments. The foolish things we cling to. And you turn, and you see a fairly tall woman with chestnut brown hair and very fine features. She's wearing a white jacket that's very fashionable, sort of diva-ish. She has it has like fur lining, and it comes down to her waist, right? And she has very stylish pants on. She's wearing a black turtleneck. And she's just smiling at you with a grin.
Do I recognize her at all?
No, you've never seen this woman in your life. Don't you think it's funny? She speaks with a thick Russian accent.
Well, monuments do serve a purpose to remind us of our history.
Ah, but we're supposed to be the silent ones, aren't we? Hidden. Hiding. We're not supposed to care about anything else other than power and blood. Why would we keep a monument around?
Even we need a reminder of history. Because, as we all know, those who fail to learn from the past are doomed to repeat it.
Too true. You're Charlie, aren't you? I've heard of you. I'm Irina.
Irina?
Mm-hmm. I think that is less monument to history, but a reminder for any who look upon it.
I'm not sure what significance this monument holds.
Well, anyone who looks upon it understands that the person who put it there obviously must have enough power to feel safe from its existence. If a human were to find one of these things, it'd be most curious for them. I think this would be breach, yes? Of the masquerade?
Perhaps. And perhaps the human would view them as simply a very rich, spoiled eclectic.
Maybe it's just distraction from the real reminder, that is.
What is the founder?
I don't know. I am new here like you.
I'm actually relieved that I'm not the only one.
Oh, I would not have relief. There are two reminders here tonight. This thing, as you say, which might be history. I don't know. It is curious and hard to look at, really. And you notice that now, like she referenced it, she's actually not, she has not looked directly at it. Right? She's actually kind of tilting her head a sort of way. She's like angled to look at you. You know, the way she's positioned her body and her general demeanor seems that she's not really comfortable looking at it directly. It's kind of hurting her eyes a little bit. No, I think there is this reminder, and there is you.
I'm a reminder of what?
You don't know? I will help you. And she stands forward real close to you. Almost uncomfortably close. Just to whisper to you. Look around you. Look. They're all watching you. And you turn and look? Yeah, do you turn and look?
I kind of glance around.
You turn and look around you, like you're like, huh? Like, are you trying to be subtle about it?
I'm trying to be subtle about it. Like,
okay.
I'm not spooked. I'm also very wary that she might try to do something if I turn my back.
Yeah, so you're kind of like looking around, like still keeping your eyes on her, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you do manage to get a pretty good glance around because the room is, out from you. There's really no obstacles other than the pillars, which are at the edges of the room. But you do notice that the people, even though there's like never more than 12 or 14 people and standing on the rips, just like talking, Most of them just seem to be coming out pretending to be occupied and then just glancing over at you, or if they're talking together, they kind of glance over at you and then they turn and they walk away. And then some other individuals will come out and they'll look and they'll walk away, right? Never more, they're not staring at you, but they'll just come out and look at you, see you, and then they'll turn and walk. But nobody's staying, other than one individual over in the corner who definitely looks like he's like the security guard. Essentially, he's a large cut man that stands probably like 6.5 feet tall and is like built. So he's very imposing. He's just standing there and he's wearing a very nice black suit and a shirt, and you don't know where he's staring, honestly. He's just looking out over the room, and he has sunglasses on, so you can't really see where his eyes are. But you don't get the impression he's staring at you. You see, they all are seeing you. You are a reminder. You are, I don't know what it's called, but it is like showing everyone what you look like. That is why you're here. It's so people can come and see you.
Is that why you're here?
Oh, I don't play those games. I just wanted to talk. I heard that you are here and we should pay attention to who you are. Apparently, there's something going on. There's rumors that you are embraced against the prince's permission?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do not pretend to know the prince's will.
I see. Oh, very good answer. You're a very smart individual. I think you'll go far. Let me ask you this. How does that make you feel?
Which part?
Being put on show. You're like pedestal. You're like this monument set here to remind people of rules and order.
And the golden boy my entire life, I've been used to being put on display.
Good. I think this is purpose. And no, I don't think I know this is purpose. But if rumor is true, and now mind you, I have no stake in this, not unless I'm told, of course. But if this is true, how do you feel about that? This could be very bad for you.
This really wasn't something that I had much of a decision in.
I know. We all are subjects under somebody else's boots.
We're chosen by the will of our sires.
Some more than others. But I do think you're correct. Well, I think you're interesting, and thank you for talking to me. No one else will.
Well, I don't really have a whole lot of conversation coming my way other than you.
Yes. Others.
A lot of attention, but no conversation.
Oh, he's unspoken rule. No one to speak to you.
Oh.
They're just...
rule?
I can. Yes. I don't care about their rules. I have my own.
That must be a very costly luxury.
Very acute of you. I like you, Charlie. I'll tell you what. With your permission, would you allow me to watch you further? Out for you. He's new to languages. The English language, that is. Would you mind if I help you? I think you might need assistance from somebody who knows how to break rules. Or can.
Well, I'm not gonna say no to a little extra help.
Good. That is a wise answer. Be careful, Mr. Charlie. All these people here, they follow rules. And I do think you are correct. As longer this conversation goes on, I think I am becoming more convinced this is a lesson of history. Everyone who is watching you next to this is seeing and being reminded of the scales of power. And they seek it. So they follow rules and they'll do anything to achieve it. I don't care about their game. I am here for a different reason.
Which reason might that be?
My rabbit will come to you. And she hands you a pin.
A pin?
Yes. Would you like to see my rabbit?
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
You say yes, of course. It is what don't worry. It will look fine on you. And she pins the little rabbit pin. It's a silver rabbit pin, silver, with a diamond, little diamond rabbit, or diamond inset, I should say. That was an inset.
Has any sort of symbolic importance?
No, it's just a rabbit running, you see the rabbits in mid hop.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Thank you for the gift.
Well, I do have to be going. It's been much fun, and I'm sure all the others will be all talking about this is all they do. They're so bored with their own lives. They talk, oh no, did you see Alina? She was talking to Carson. Beep, beep, beep. Bye. And she turns around and walks off. And just turns and walks.
Charlie is visibly gonna chuckle.
You notice as she walks out that there are several individuals who are standing in her way because she's walking towards the two doors on the side of the room. And there are people who are standing in her way that move very hurriedly out of her way. Not because of... You don't know, because everybody here seems to be pretty guarded. Or at least well-trained at guarding their body language and their faces, but you could catch a hint of fear and anger.
Okay.
Avoidance as they move out of her way. And
I'm going to commit that name to memory.
Irina?
Yeah.
We will be adding it to your relationship map. So.
But Charlie is definitely focusing on that name as something important to remember.
So you turn and see just as Irina leaves, your vision pans over and you see Helen coming out of the main doors finally. It's been quite a while. You were standing there observing this sarcophagus for a very long time. She looked over at Irina leaving, and then she looks over at you, And you see on her face, very visibly, defeat. You've never seen that out of her. She looks stricken. And she comes walking down to you as the doors are closing behind her. The man who escorted her in is nowhere to be seen. And you notice, as people see her enter, there's this visible sort of ripple effect of conversation, hushed, whispered conversation that you can't quite pick out because of its distance. And the acoustics of this room are also weird too. But you could hear like just like a, you know what I mean, as people slowly talk, and then you see people come in from the other room almost to see what's going on. And they all gather and they're talking amongst themselves, but they're all attentive on you and Helen as Helen approaches you.
I will wait for Helen to speak first.
The prince has not acknowledged you. I was so sure. I'm sorry, my child.
I take it that I'm to be destroyed then.
No. She looks around at people and you could feel the weight of everybody's eyes on you. You are to be banished outside of his lord's domain. I am to be punished, censored socially. You have one night to gather your effects. 2 nights from now, if you are caught within the premises of his lord's domain, you will be executed. We must go.
And I will just kind of look to the ground, hold my hands in clenched fists at my side, and I will follow her lead.
As you get into the elevator, and the eyes, you're cut off from the gaze of the groom, who, as you are leaving, you notice like the volume of conversation rises. Helen closes the door or the elevator. The conductor turns the key, and she looks over at you, in a very hurried manner, as the elevator won't take that long. Is who were you? Why were you speaking to Irina?
Irina spoke to me, I
What did
never met that person.
What did she want from you?
We had a very simple conversation about the sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus.
Mostly as she put it, it is redundant of our society to have monuments and yet also preach silence.
Yes, I agree. Be careful who you talk to. She looks over up at the elevator as it's going up, and the elevator doors opens, and she looks over you in a very hurried, whispered fashion that says, "We can't speak safely." You know what I mean? Like, she is an enemy. They were enemies of the tower until recently, and now they are the prince's enforcers. And she looks over at the doorman. You think that she thinks that she was probably quiet enough, and she kind of hurries you out. She actually grabs you, something she's never done before. And you go hurrying out into the limousine. Do you just let her take you along? Do you...
Yeah, right now, she's the only thing I have to gauge this entire interaction off of. So her concern is my concern, and I'm letting her lead the situation because I don't know as well as she knows.
You get into the limousine, and she closes, the door closes, and you guys are going back to where you were. And we don't have much time, and we can't really talk here, but Irina is an enemy. She's an enemy of our clan, and she's an enemy of the tower. And even though the prince has, for some reason, let her and her ilk in, she should never be trusted.
I don't intend to trust. You've warned me against such things.
This is a different sort of mistrust. They are not like your normal enemies.
At some point, perhaps a further explanation could be garnered.
Yes,
right now,
yes.
I feel like there are more important things.
We have to find a place for you. You will have to move. I'm sorry. They will come for you regardless of where you are, as long as you exist within this domain. We don't have very much time. I will help you. I promise I will be with you. I am not allowed to leave the domain, but he was very strange about... He knows that he left me with too much room. And to simply... I don't know, there's something afoot here. There's something larger than I didn't see. I am not seeing. The prince would simply have executed you and should have punished me or executed me if he decided against it. And he had every reason to not. Yet he is. There's something going on. We must recollect.
Display of power because of other forces. Who knows? I don't know the prince. I don't know the prince's will.
That this prince does not fear anyone, and never has. He is... Well, we don't want to pretend to understand him. We do understand that he is a hard person. He has kept us all in the court at arm's reach and enforced his will from a distance. He has... There's too much to explain in one car rider one evening. But suffice to say that the prince punished me, but he left me with much looser conditions than I would have anticipated. When he punishes, his punishments are final and without mercy, and regardless of who is or what his concerns or cares for the individual are. He has shown that in the past. He is a person about law and order more than anyone.
You yourself said that you had certain debts.
And I thought those debts, they're not official rules, you see. They're more a function of politics. We protect each other through debt. If I am valuable to the prince, then he has no reason to destroy me. But I had already cashed in all of my debts to him a long time ago. My debts that were repaid were to satisfy those who would oppose granting me leniency. And I was in his favor. I don't know what's... What are you making? You were saying something. I'm sorry.
I'm out of my depth, and I am holding my composure because it's the only thing that I can do. Because a night from now, if I don't have everything lined up in a row, the prince's men will come to execute me. A circumstance that if you had told me 2 months ago that this would be my reality, I would not have believed you.
Yes, it seems our realities are changing.
That's the reality of the situation as it stands right now. So, I hold my composure. I get done what I need to get done. And eventually, find a way to overcome the challenge.
Yes. Well, let's see to the mundane, at least. We have a lot to plan. And with that, the car drives back up the inclined hill towards your penthouse, which will soon be empty, as Charlie Allsun faces an uncertain night and nights ahead. And plans for the future. I think that's where we're going to leave it.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.